I'm Charlie from Red Blue Talk. This channel is about how politics and government impact people's lives. Mountainside, New Jersey is a 4 square mile community 10 to 15 miles west of New York City, but there's a lot going on out there. Affluent community, usually not a lot of news, but this year there are 5 police officers and another city employee or town employee who are alleging in a lawsuit that the police are behaving really badly. I'll put a link in the description box below so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. It involves harassment, retaliation, sexual misconduct, racist emails. It's all in there. It's a horrible situation. I have an interview with Anjali Mehrotra, who is a Democrat running to get elected to the Borough Council. Let's listen right after this. Helpful news analysis on topics that actually matter to you. Get subscribed and hit the bell so you won't miss the next video. Anjali Mehrotra, thank you so much for being my guest on Red Blue Talk. Just to get the business out of the way, this is the first time you and I are meeting on Facebook Messenger, but I am acquainted with your husband from many years ago in what I do for a living. I would also point out that I reached out to all of the candidates who are running for the Borough Council in Mountainside, New Jersey, and so far you're the only one who has responded. So let's jump right into it. There's this horrible police behaving badly situation in Mountainside, New Jersey. It's in the newspapers. It's in the middle of your election cycle. How is it impacting your campaign?
Well, Mountainside is a very Republican town, and we have not had a Democrat elected here at least in 50 years, if ever. And when we started this campaign, or rather when I started this campaign and I filed in April, I knew it was going to be a challenge. We had candidates last year run for the first time in recent history, and they did well. They got about 43% of the vote. I think a lot of the residents in town were just happy to have a choice, to finally have 2 candidates that they could choose between, which they had not had for many years. And I think we started well last year. We had some momentum. I was very keen to keep that momentum going. That was kind of my primary reason for running. I knew I had a shot. It was a long shot maybe. But now I think with this lawsuit, there has been a shift in that dynamic. I think people are definitely looking for change.
Yeah. So let's talk about the dynamics of Mountainside a little bit. So you're telling me that you haven't elected a Democrat in years and years, but the registration is 33% Republican, 25% Democrat, and 42% unaffiliated. So to win, you got to get some Republicans and some unaffiliated Republican sympathizers to go along with you, because clearly unaffiliated people have been electing Republicans.
Right. So, and I think the unaffiliated people have been electing the Republicans because they didn't have a choice. There were no Democrats on the ballot, and this year, not only do we have 2 Democrats on the ballot, we also have a situation in town which really has made people question the leadership of the incumbents. People are concerned, the residents rather are concerned about taxes going up. They know that this lawsuit is going to be costly, and the costs are eventually going to, trickle down to the residents. So whether it's in terms of taxes, whether it's in terms of, service cuts, but they're also concerned about their actual property values. Somebody who's trying to move into Mountainside, they're looking at houses in this neighborhood. Are they now going to think twice about moving in Mountainside? What does that mean for our property values? Are our house prices going to go down? That's a real concern. So I think between all of those things, people recognize that there has been a failure here, a failure of accountability, a failure of leadership, and, to some level, integrity. And that's what we're promising them. We're promising them, if you elect us, you're going to have 2 people on council that are going to speak out for you, that are going to look out for your interests. And we're going to be there to sort of question the status quo.
So what do you say to the individual that says, Anjali, we had a few bad apples. They're on administrative leave. Our police chief is on administrative leave. This is not a systemic problem. It's a few bad apples.
Well, I think if you read the complaint, I mean, it's 46 pages of, bad behavior, alleged bad behavior, one after the other.
I think you're being generous. I read the first 10 pages of the complaint and the newspaper articles, which I'm going to post in the description box. It's flat out disgusting. It's unthinkably gross. And by the way, these are police complaining about other police. So,
Right.
What is Anjali going to do differently? Why are we voting for you?
Well, obviously, the reason that this kind of behavior, I'm going to call it behavior again, was allowed to exist. It was tolerated. So it's not just a couple of bad apples. The fact that it was tolerated points to a systemic issue, right? Because nobody for 15 years took action on it.
Mm-hmm.
We know for a fact that the Borough Council members, have known about these allegations for at least a year, actually since, I think, January of 2017. And this lawsuit was filed in May. So for about 15 months or more, they did nothing. They took no action, no corrective action. So it's not just a few bad apples. It's also this sort of willingness to go along with it. The reason why it continued for so long is because the perpetuators knew that there was going to be no consequences for their actions. And that's what electing two independent, strong women to the council is going to stop. It's going to bring that to a halt. We're going to question things. We're going to ask the difficult questions. As I like to say, who's the adult in the room?
So you raised the issue that there are female candidates in this race, and I should point out that one of the incumbents is a female as well. Changing channels a bit. On Thursday, and we like to talk about newspaper articles on my blog, so in the New York Times Thursday, in the style section, in politics, a pantsuit isn't required. It's a fashion article that deals with this small army of women that are running for office for the first time. The writer says, last week, 80 women came to Yale University here to attend the 2018 Women's Campaign School and, among other things, to try to answer that question. The question is, what to wear? Pantsuits? Skirts? Do you want to look like Sheryl Sandberg? Do you want to look like Nancy Pelosi? Or does it matter? I'm curious what you think.
So one of the things, if you look at my resume, I'm also co-president of Union County Now, which is the National Organization for Women local chapter. And, so I'm very active in women's rights. And I believe that whether it be the politics arena or the corporate world, when women first entered into that, they sort of emulated what men were doing. And they've tried to fit into the man's world by basically acting like a man. And I think that's changing. And that's reflected not only in attitudes, but also in dress. So I truly believe that we're at a point now where women are more accepted for who they are. And that's my advice to women. If they're running, be true to yourself. So I would say, dress how you feel comfortable. And that doesn't mean that you need to dress inappropriately. You want to keep it appropriate. But you don't have to follow sort of a dress code that was set up by some men, And I think as long as you feel comfortable and be yourself, you should be fine.
So we have a little segment on this program called 23 Questions, which I've adapted from Vogue magazine. Can I jump right in?
Yep.
All right. So Anjali Mehrotra, how's life treating you in Mountainside, New Jersey?
I'm doing well. Mountainside is a beautiful town. We're about 20 miles west of New York City. I love the green trees here and the access to the city. I love it.
And what's your favorite season?
I really like fall and spring. I love the flowers of spring and I love the colors of fall.
What do you like
and
to
they're
eat?
both.
I'm sorry.
Pardon?
I'm sorry. I thought you finished. What do you like to eat for breakfast?
Usually a protein bar and coffee.
What's your favorite fast food?
I'm not a big fast food person. My idea of fast food is probably like a Chipotle or a Qdoba.
Oh, that counts. Where did you grow up, Anjali?
I grew up in India. I grew up in Calcutta, which is a big city. And I was born and raised there, and I came to the United States to go to college.
What's the best thing about Calcutta?
I would say definitely the people. Calcutta, amongst all the major cities in India, is really known for its warmth and hospitality. The people are very welcoming, and I would say that was definitely the best thing.
What's the one thing you can't live without?
My kids. I have twin girls who are now in college. They just finished their third year there, and it's really difficult. They are going to college in Chicago, and it's really hard for, I think, myself and my husband to be separated from them for so long.
What is your favorite sports team?
I'm a big football fan. Before I had children, I was an avid watcher. I used to run the pool for the Super Bowl at my work.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, I don't watch as often, but when I can, I still like to watch the New York Giants, and I definitely root for them.
Android or iPhone?
Without a doubt, Android.
Who is the most famous politician that you follow on social media?
I follow a lot of politicians on social media and a lot of news media personalities too. But I would say my favorite person to sort of follow and see what she's up to is Gloria Steinem.
And if you could play bridge with one politician, who would that be?
I would love to have a conversation with Hillary Clinton, so I'm going to pick her to play bridge with.
So I'm going to keep this short and skip to the last question. What is your advice for women who are thinking of running for office, since you're dead smack in the middle of it?
I've been involved in the political arena for a while. I ran other people's campaigns. I worked on, a congressional and an assembly campaign last year. And I think I would say just do it, because it took me a while to get there. There was nobody who was running in Mountainside this year until I decided to do it. So just like step up and do it, because since I made that decision, things have gotten interesting, and I'm actually enjoying it, and it's a great way to get out and meet people. What I love about it is, as I'm knocking on doors, I've connected with people, not only new people, but some people that I knew for a long time in town, but I've sort of lost touch with now that my kids are grown up and we're not sort of part of the school system anymore. And it's really been great to, sort of connect with them again, have conversations and talk about, what we have in common, our love for this town. So I say just do it.
Well, thank you for being a friend of this channel and for this interview, and keep us posted on what happens in the campaign as it proceeds along all the way through November. Well, thank you, Charlie. This has been great. It's been my pleasure, and we will definitely keep you apprised of what's happening in Mountainside. All right. Thanks again, Anjali. Thanks again to Anjali Mehrotra, who's running for Borough Council in Mountainside, New Jersey. I think every single person needs their own VPN software running on their mobile device. You connect to your VPN, it hides your IP address, it hides the DNS addresses that you're going to connect to. It's less than $3 a month. The one I like is called Private Internet Access, solves a lot of problems. I'm Charlie Stern. This is Red Blue Talk. We talk about how politics and government impact people's lives. Please subscribe, watch the other videos, and I'll see you on the next video.